Welcome to the Inspirational, Informational, and Transparent Aviation Careers Podcast. We are here at our new location right on the campus of Sun and Fun. This is probably the first time you're seeing this if you're watching it on YouTube. We're actually at the Elevate. It's a business incubator right here on the campus of Sun and Fun at the Aerospace Center for Excellence. There's some links in the show notes below that'll tell you a little bit more about that business incubator for both logistics and aerospace. But in today's episode, we're going to answer the question as to how can I make money through bidding with an airline? We're going to go over a little bit of that as far as what bidding is and how you can become a successful bidder as far as your airline, or if, say, you're somebody who's a flight attendant, just in general what bidding is and what am I talking about when I'm talking about bidding. So first of all, when I talk about bidding, remember this, in the airlines, everything is focused around your seniority. And the trips that you get, the different overnights that you get, and the type of things that you want to do, like going on vacation, that type of thing, are all done through this bidding system at the airlines. And basically, it's done by seniority. If there's 100 people on a list, the number one person, they get to actually bid first, and then they go from there. But what I want to do today is talk a little bit more about the way you should bid, and also a little bit about what's important as far as making money in bidding and putting that bid forth. First of all, I've always said this, the most important thing with bidding in general, and this is a good rule of thumb, is bid for what you want. Bid for what you want, not what you think other people are going to do in their bid. That's very difficult to do, is try to figure out what other people are going to do during that bid process. So say you want to get an overnight in Los Angeles. Well, bid for that overnight, because you don't know. Maybe somebody else doesn't like Los Angeles. So the most important thing is to bid for what you want, not what you think other people are going to do. The other thing that is really important is that if you want to make money in your bidding process and also at the airlines, the really important thing is what's called soft time. What does that mean, soft time? That's actually getting paid to do other things other than fly. So, for instance, there's in your bidding, you might know that there's trips out there where you're going to be doing a lot of layovers, long layovers, where you get a minimum, say, daily guarantee. That daily guarantee, you get paid a certain amount of money for sitting at the hotel or in some destination that you really love, and you get to go out and check out all the different sites at that location. You get a minimum amount of pay for that. So, for instance, say you fly from New York to Los Angeles and you're there for 4 days. You get paid a minimum amount of pay for that, and then you fly back. Say the flight is about 5-6 hours. So say it's 5 hours. It's more than that, by the way. And it's 10 hours total flight time. But you're there for maybe 4 days. Well, instead of 10 hours of pay, you're going to get 20 hours of pay. That extra 10 hours is what we call soft time. That is guaranteed. That's things that were paid for other than flying. And why is soft time important? Because there's this limit when you actually bid your trips, and there's a limit as to how much you can fly that's defined by the FAA. But to be able to make money above that, you can use soft time. And what does that do for you? Well, say you have 100 hours and you're scheduled for a month, and half of that is soft time, right? Your limit to fly for a month is, say, that 100 hours. Well, gosh, you have 50 hours of soft time, so you can actually tack on some more flying. And that's where you find people that say they've flown 150 hours or 200 hours in a month. That's soft time. The other thing, too, is incentive time. And when we're talking about pay, a lot of times as pilots, we talk in numbers. Like, for instance, well, I got paid 100 hours this month, even though you only flew 50 hours. So that's why we say we made 100 or 150 hours. So sometimes we get paid time and a half, double time, maybe triple time, maybe working on your holidays, that type of thing. That's how you make extra money, is you work on your days off. You also take those trips that may be paying twice as much, and you bid for what's called soft time. There's so many ways to make money, but those are the big ones. But trying to figure this out in general, like specifics, can't really go into a ton of detail because every airline is different, right? So what you need to do is you need to learn how your airline works and how your bidding system works and how you can trade trips and add to those trips and how you can actually swap things around so that you can make extra money. Most airlines have a system where if they need people to fly, they'll actually ask people to come in even for time and a half and double time. And that's where you hear people say, well, I got paid 300 hours this month. Well, they didn't fly 300 hours because that's illegal, right? But they got paid 300 hours because they actually did get paid for 300 hours because maybe they got triple pay. Maybe they got double pay and they're on their vacation, making it triple pay. There's so many ways to do this. Another thing that is another idea for a lot of people. And it's kind of what I do is I like to fly into those areas that get a lot of delays. New York airspace is a great example. Constant delays. And you know that you have a higher opportunity to make extra money flying into New York airspace. So, originally I'm from Newark. I always take overnights in Newark, and that's why. It's because a lot of times we'll get enough delays and we'll be holding or taxing or whatever. It's going to add to the amount of time that I'm going to get paid for. So for instance, let's use an example. Say I'm doing a flight from Orlando to JFK, say, and the block time is 2 hours. And it actually takes me 3 hours because we're holding, we're taxing for a long time, there's delays, there's gate holds, there's all these different type of things. I know that's going to happen because I'm flying in the New York airspace. And I know people are going to say that a lot of these airlines pad their schedules a little bit because what they need to do is make sure that they're on time. So what they do is they figure out at a specific time in the day that you are actually going to take 40 minutes to taxi to the runway. Well, they build that into their schedules. So you can actually bid for those trips. And two things. Number one, you might actually fly longer. In other words, the actual block time from the time you leave till the time you block in may be longer, but also it might be a little bit shorter and you actually get paid for that time even though you weren't flying. So for instance, say it's 5 hours, they block a flight from Orlando to JFK, which they never would do. But let's say that's what they do, and it only takes you 2 hours. You still get paid for those 5 hours. Now there's many more nuances to this, and I just wanted to give you an overview as to how you can make extra money in an airline. But what I want you to do is this is the most important thing. Start researching soft time at your airline. Start researching those trips that may pay really well, even though you're not flying a lot, but it gives you the opportunity to add to your flying, to add to your pay. And look at those things that are actually trips out there that might pay time and a half, double time, triple time, whatever it may be. And another thing that someone gave me this advice when I first got to the airlines, if you see a phone call from your airline, pick up the phone, see what they want. You're under no obligation most of the time. Just make sure you know your rules. And you may find out that you can make quite a bit of money by just flying from one point to the next. A good example is I saw one trip where they really needed somebody to move an airplane. And actually it was like for 4 days. And the pay was like it was like 25 hours of pay, even though it was only 2 legs. It was phenomenal. And it was all mostly soft time. So what does that mean? Afterwards, I can pick up more trips. So research what your soft time is at your airline. Make sure that you bid properly. By bidding properly, that is bidding for what you want, not what you think other people are going to do. Many of the bidding systems that are out there these days, say you want to move into a different base, they'll allow you to put in what's called a percentage bid. Say you want to be halfway up the seniority list at a base like in St. Louis. Well, you can actually put your bid in saying, once I hit 50%, I want to go to that base. Well, hopefully this has helped you as far as bidding and making a little bit of extra money with the airlines in that bidding process. I've got a real general overview on purpose, and that's because of the fact that your specific airline, you really need to get to know the rules. So out of all this, there's a couple things I want you to do. Number one, bid for what you want. Don't bid what you think other people are going to bid. Number two, get to know the rules at your airline, because that's how you can make extra money. And go out there, bid for more soft time, make extra money, and you will find out that this is actually a fairly lucrative career by doing that. And you might be able to go ahead and buy yourself one of those after you've made so much in overtime. There's another part of this too that's really important though, and that is, out of all of your bidding, you might want to do what I do, and that's minimum bid, and that's to bid your days off and get the maximum number of days off in a month. Here's an example. I'm here right now and out talking to you, and that's because of the fact that I only worked 11 days this month. I've got the rest of the month off so I can bring you more content. So again, Good luck to you on bidding. Do me a favor, send me some emails. I can kind of dive deeper, but I wanted to do an overview. How to make money in the bidding process, bid for what you want, get that soft time, know your rules, know how to make extra money, and you will actually make this quite a lucrative career. Or on the flip side, when you get to know the rules, you may get a whole bunch of time off like I get to do here. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Don't forget feedback at aviationcareerspodcast.com if you have questions. I'd love to hear back from you. And also, we're coming up with our pilot interview course. I'm finally putting that together online. I know it's hard to get into my coaching classes because I'm so busy, but what I want to do is make sure that everybody can benefit from all these different interviews that I've done. So what I'm putting together is online in the courseware. Click on courses, that pilot interview course for the specific airlines I do interview prep for, and also the feedback from those people who have done interviews, and I include those as some of those classes. But most importantly today, what I want you to do is, for me and for everybody else, is to make sure that if you're going to move forward in your career, you take one step today to move toward your career goal and move forward in your life. One of those steps that you can do for me, start researching. Look at your contracts, look at your rules. How do you bid more soft time? Figure out how you can actually increase the revenue where you are working and become a much more efficient and proficient pilot. And I can't wait to hear your stories about how you're able to make more money and also bid the schedule and get the lifestyle that you want. Well, folks, we'll talk to you next episode, and don't forget to take one step today towards your career goal. We'll see you next episode.